right, here we go with another question.
It's for Dan Sexton. When you did the flag salute in the first flight field trip, did you get picked or did you just want to do it?
For Dan Sexton, evidently, and I'll admit I wasn't there, so I did not know this. Dan Sexton said the Pledge of Allegiance at the first flight field trip the other day at Honda Center. And she would like to know, Dan, if you opted to do that, if you were called upon, or exactly how that worked out.
I was called upon to do it. I didn't know that we were going to be doing that, but I'm sure they picked the person that they thought would best represent the country. And who am I to say? You know, it's. But yeah, it was you know, it was an honor, and I did a pretty flawless job, and it was good.
Correct me if I'm wrong. You are the only one among these four who were born in the United States, correct? All right, another question right here.
For Cam Fowler, what made you want to play hockey?
For Cam Fowler, what made you want to play hockey?
My dad, he was Canadian, so the Canadians tend to be crazy about their hockey. So when I was just little, he started putting hockey sticks in my hands, and I would just kind of whack the ball around in the house and break stuff. And ever since then, and then I started skating, and it's just kind of one of those things that you love to get out there. You know, when you're at the rink and you're skating, you're just kind of in your own little world, and you can block out everything away from the rink. And so it's just kind of something that I fell in love with, and now I get to do it every day, so it's awesome.
And we're glad he does.
Lucas Pisa. What was your greatest time in the NHL?
Luca, your greatest time in the NHL?
I guess I would have to say to put on the Ducks jersey. I think my first goal I scored. I've worked really hard for that. It's something you picture yourself doing as a little kid. As soon as you start playing hockey, you have that thought in your mind to one day score a goal in the NHL. And especially for me, it took me pretty much 3 years to get my first goal after playing my first game in the NHL, so it felt even better.
Good answer right there. Who wouldn't want to score their first goal in the NHL? Anyone out there have that dream? Somebody must. There we go.
Too old. Had to give it up.
Who's your favorite player growing up?
For Brandon McMillan, growing up, who was your favorite hockey player?
My favorite, I had a few. I really like Joe Sakic. He was a great player, and I really enjoyed over the last 5 years watching Henrik Zetterberg and Joe Thornton. Even though they play on the bad team now.
Three pretty good centermen there, though. Joe Sakic, Henrik Zetterberg, Joe Thornton. We have another question here from this young lady. This is for Cam Fowler. She was just a little shy here. She would like to know, Cam, who taught you how to skate?
I'd have to give most of that to my mom, actually. She kind of put me in, they were sort of like figure skating classes when I was 3 or 4, and I was one of the only boys in there, but I have to give it to her because it taught me how to skate and how to stop, and then from there I turned into a hockey player instead of a figure skater, so I have to give it to my mom.
Okay, here we go with yet another question.
Cam Fowler, how did you celebrate your first NHL goal?
This is a good one, Cam. Because I remember the circumstances surrounding this. How did you celebrate your first NHL goal?
Well, after my first NHL goal, I was fortunate enough to get my face plowed into the boards. And then suffered a broken nose and 7 stitches after that. So I spent most of the time on the medical table, just kind of hanging out. Luckily, the team got the win, and like Spees said, it's incredible. You dream about it your whole life, and then you finally get to live it. And unfortunately, I didn't get to finish the game, but at least I got the first one out of the way.
So I'm sure the goal and winning the hockey game that night made it a little bit easier to endure what Cam had to go through right there.
Sexton, what would you be doing if you'd never played on the Anaheim Ducks?
For Dan Sexton, what might you be doing if you had never played on the Anaheim Ducks?
I don't know. I mean, I get scared to think about where I would be if it wasn't for hockey, but I'd probably still be in college, or hopefully I'd be out of college by now, and just probably trying to like pursue some sort of business. You know, I was going to school for business finance, you know, so maybe go to be like someone that handles money, or someone maybe real estate or something like that. But my dad's a salesman, and he does pretty well, and I think I'd like to follow in his footsteps if it wasn't for hockey. But I don't really know. Like, that's a good question. I'm not sure what I would be doing, so I guess I'm lucky that I have this for now.
There'll be plenty of time for that later in life, Dan.
How did you feel when you got traded to the Ducks?
Good question. Did everyone hear that? Luca, you heard it. How did you feel when you got traded to the Ducks from the Philadelphia Flyers?
What a good question, buddy. You know what? I didn't really expect to get traded at a time. I played my first year there, first couple of games in the NHL, and yeah, I kind of, it's a weird story. I just flew in that day. I was home for about 2 hours. Then I got the call from the GM in Philly, and he told me I got traded to the Anaheim Ducks. And like I said, I didn't really expect that to happen. Obviously, I was pretty, I don't know, sad, upset, disappointed at first, because Philadelphia was the team I got drafted by and everything, and all that stuff. But then after a couple of days, I looked at the bright side of the things, and the Ducks were like they won the Stanley Cup in 2007, and that was a big plus. And then I had a chance to play with a guy like Scott Niedermayer and all that kind of thing. So I started to get really excited, and I'm really happy to be a Ducks now.
Okay, folks, we're going to take just a little time out from the Q&A. We'll come back to that. But as I mentioned earlier, Jonas Hiller is the official captain of the Wild Wingers Kids Club. Jonas felt kind of bad that he couldn't be here today, so he has autographed 2 goalie sticks that he wants to give away. So we're just going to have a quick little contest here with a couple of trivia questions, okay? So if you know the answer to the trivia question, please don't yell it out. Just raise your hand. We'll try our absolute best to pick the person who raises his or her hand first, and then you'll get to answer the question, and if you get it right, you get the stick. All right?